Man is not merely a being in this world. He is a world unto himself. Let's take a moment to consider what you are. Not who you are, or what you have done, or what you believe. Not even what you have been told, but what you are. You are approximately 37 trillion cells operating in a concert without a single conscious instruction from you. Right now, as you watch this, your heart is beating. Your lungs are expanding. Your neurons are firing at speeds you will never feel and cannot control. You didn't decide to be alive today. You simply are. The human body is not the beginning. It is the culmination. A condensation of processes that stretch from the unseen into the tangible. From stardust into skin. From cosmic gas clouds, billions of years old, into the specific, unrepeatable architecture of you. Every atom in your body was forged in the core of a star that no longer exists. You are not living on Earth. You are Earth. Temporarily organized into a form capable of looking back at the cosmos that made it. It is the altar where spirit and matter meet, where potential collapses into presence. The body is not a cage. It is a portal.
This is not advice. This is not doctrine. These are philosophies stitched in the margins of the Spaceyverse. Welcome to Spaceyverse Philosophies.
We do not see things as they are. We see them as we are. Here is something neuroscience has confirmed that philosophy suspected for centuries. You have never seen reality directly. Not once. What you experience as sight, the colors, the shapes, the depth of the room, it's not a window. It is a construction. Your brain receives raw electrical signals from the optic nerve and builds an image from those signals using memory, expectation, and prediction. What you see is not what's there. It is your brain's best guess about what is there. Filtered through everything you have ever experienced before this moment. Reality is elastic. Perception reshapes the field. Einstein's general theory of relativity demonstrated that mass curves spacetime. That gravity is not a force pulling objects together, but the shape of space itself, bending around mass. The same principle operates in consciousness. Attention bends outcomes the way mass bends light. Where you place your focus does not merely observe reality, it participates in constructing it. And this is not a metaphor. The quantum double-slit experiment demonstrated that particles behave differently when observed than when unobserved. The act of measurement, of attention collapses possibility into actuality. And you are not a passive receiver of a fixed external world. You are simultaneously observer and creator. Clarity brings coherence. And when attention is focused, intention is amplified, and the field organizes around that focus. Distraction fragments the self, splintering attention across scattered timelines, scattered possibilities, and scattered versions of a life that never quite assembles. Illusions appear solid, but they are nothing more than distorted reflections of our own state of being. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and that the quality of our inner world determines the quality of our outer experience. 2,000 years before neuroscience confirmed it, philosophy already knew. What you believe about reality shapes what you perceive. What you perceive shapes what you experience. And what you experience shapes what you believe. The loop is not a trap. It is, however, an invitation. Because if perception is constructed, it can be reconstructed. If the filter can distort, it can also clarify. The question is never what is real. The question is always who is doing the seeing. Humans carry impossible capacities to exist in many places at once, through memory, imagination, through the digital extensions of consciousness we have built to carry our presence beyond our bodies. To communicate across vast distances instantaneously in ways that would have appeared as pure magic to every generation that preceded this one. And to undergo death and rebirth without ever leaving the room. Every transformation is a quiet supernova. Every shift of awareness rearranges galaxies inside the skin. Neuroscience has confirmed that the brain is a parallel processor, not a linear machine moving from thought to thought in sequence, but a vast, simultaneous network simulating realities, imagining futures, reliving past, all at once, in the same instant. In the same 3 pounds of matter behind your eyes. You are never fully in the present moment. Part of you is always elsewhere. Revisiting a conversation from last week. Rehearsing a conversation that has not happened yet. Inhabiting a version of your life that exists only in projection. This is not a flaw. This is the architecture of consciousness too large for a single moment to contain. Quantum mechanics offers another mirror. At a subatomic level. The level from which all matter, including you, is constructed. Particles exist in superposition. Multiple states simultaneously. Wave and particle. Here and not here. Determined and undetermined. Until observed. To be human is to carry paradox in your marrow. We are both deterministic and free, finite and infinite, in both the observer and the thing being observed. William James, the father of American psychology, wrote that the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Not their circumstances, not their resources, and not their genetics. Their attitude of mind. Viktor Frankl, who survived 3 Nazi concentration camps, wrote that the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance. These are not motivational abstractions. They are observations from people who tested the outer limits of what human consciousness can endure and transcend. Consciousness itself is the bridge between micro and macro realities, between the quantum and the cosmic, particle and universe, between what is determined and what remains perpetually possible.
Threshold breach detected. Initiating council or
Every great universe begins with a single creator who refuses to think small. Paintings become worlds, stories become timelines, music, design, writing, ritual, all woven into something that lasts. The Intergalactic Council of Spaceyverse supports creators, ready to move from projects to legacies. You don't need to work harder. You need to work dimensionally.
If the self is so vast, so paradoxical, so layered, so simultaneously determined and free, then what exactly is the self? This question has occupied every philosophical tradition in human history, and none of them have arrived at the same answer. The Buddhist tradition proposes that the self is not a fixed entity but a process, a stream of arising and passing experiences with no permanent core. Anatta, non-self. The teaching that what we call I is a convenient label applied to a river that is never the same water twice. The Western philosophical tradition, from Descartes forward, proposed the opposite. A fixed rational self, a thinking thing. Cogito ergo sum. I think before I am. Modern neuroscience has complicated both positions. The default mode network, the part the brain most active when you are doing nothing, is the part responsible for self-referential thought, for the story you tell about who you are. Which means the self, as you experience it, is a narrative, not a fixed object or illusion. A story your brain tells yourself about continuity, about being the same person who woke up yesterday and the day before and 10 years ago. That story is useful, but it's not necessary. It's how consciousness navigates time. But it is not the totality of what you are. Beneath the narrative self, beneath the story, there is the experiencing self. The one who feels, perceives, who is present before thought arrives to name the experience. In contemplative traditions across cultures, from Zen Buddhism to Christian mysticism to Sufi poetry, the same discovery recurs. That beneath the constructed self is something quieter, something that does not argue. It is something that simply is. The Vedantic traditions call it Atman, the ground of being, the awareness that is aware of awareness, the observer beneath the observer. David Chalmers, one of the foremost philosophers of consciousness, identified what he called the hard problem of consciousness. Not the question of how the brain processes information. That is the easy problem. The hard problem is, why is there something it is you like to be you? Why does subjective experience even exist at all? Why is there an inner world, a felt sense of being alive, rather than simply information processing in the dark? No one has answered this question, not definitively. And that is a testament to the depth of what you are.
Holding at 5 degrees per second. Backbone looks steady.
Humans are not a problem to be solved. Life is a mystery to be inhabited. The self is not fixed. The self is not illusory. The self is not reducible to neurons or narratives or any single framework, any tradition that has yet produced. The self is an ongoing process of a universe becoming aware of itself through you. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. After all of that, after the paradox, the philosophy, the neuroscience, the hard problem, the quantum mechanics, Alan Watts arrived with the simplest possible answer. Being alive is enough. Not being alive and productive, not being alive and enlightened, not being alive and having it all figured out, just being alive. The task is simple yet almost impossible. To remember that this right now is sufficient, even while carrying cosmic potential in every cell, even while knowing that you are a paradox, a narrative, a quantum event, a prism, an experiment in consciousness that has never occurred in exactly this configuration before and will never occur again. Even knowing all of that, the work is to be here, fully, without reservation, without waiting for the version of your life that will finally feel worthy of full presence. Faith and imagination are not decorations. They are mechanisms of manifestation. The placebo effect, one of the most replicated findings in all of medical research, demonstrates that belief changes physiology. That the mind telling the body it is healing produces measurable biological changes. That what you believe about your own capacity influences what your body is actually capable of. Neuroplasticity confirms that the brain rewires itself in response to experience, to practice, to directed attention. You're not fixed. The architecture of your mind is responsive to what you choose to pay attention to. Intention writes the code. Energy obeys the command. To celebrate being human is not to ignore the difficulty. It is to embrace the full contradiction, the beauty and the burden, the magic and the mundane, the cosmic and the ordinary, and to find that both are sacred. The glass is not broken. It is a prism. And every fragment of you still carries the whole. Every confusion, every contradiction, every version of yourself you have outgrown.
Mornings smell like garlic and pepper.
None of it was wasted.
Afternoons are all peace
All of
and
it
coffee.
is refraction. Light does not lose itself passing through a prism. It reveals what was always present. The full spectrum hidden inside what appeared to be a single color. To be human is to embody light observed. To remember yourself as frequency embodied. To walk the tightrope of illusion and truth. And choose again and again and again to become. Being human is an experiment in remembrance. Science and spirituality are not opposites. They are two languages describing the same territory. The vast, the strange, luminous fact of conscious existence. Philosophy asks questions. Neuroscience maps the mechanism. Spirituality points towards the source. And art makes it feel. None of them alone is sufficient. All of them together begin to approximate what you already know in your body. That existence is extraordinary. That awareness is a gift so obvious we forget to notice it. That the universe spent 14 billion years arranging itself into a form capable of wondering about itself. And that form is you. Allow the magic of unpredictability and faith to guide you. Explore your potential. Observe your power. Witness the wonder of the universe reflected in your own form. Because you are not here to perform existence. You're here to inhabit it. Fully, completely, and without apology. The prism does not choose the light. It shapes it. And in that shaping, something extraordinary is always happening. Everywhere around it. This has been another Spaceyverse Philosophy transmission. A reflection. The multi-dimensional mind. Most people stop at understanding. If you're not most people, the CODEX has the rest. And when you're ready to move, not just think, step into the vault.
The philosophy is yours to carry. Transmission ends. Spaceyverse Philosophies archived.